Hi, good to see you again. Welcome to Block 4, Operations and Equations with Directed Number, Lesson 12. I'll share my screen. So, in your previous lesson, you learned how to solve two-step equations, even looking at very challenging cases of two-step equations. In today's lesson, you're going to focus on learning how to use order of operations with directed numbers. Support our mission of educating the global population of children who may not have the financial resources to have access to high quality maths education. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and click on the notification bell so that when new videos are released, you'll be notified. Thank you for your support. Before we start, I would like you to do the retrieval practice questions in 4 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered the questions, here are the answers. So with this, you simply ask to review what you have already learned about working with directed numbers. So this is 5 add negative 12. Now remember what we've learned so far, that I have shown you a really simple way of thinking about these. When you have things like this, you can regard these two operations as invisibly multiplying each other. Of course, you know, positive multiply negative will give you negative. So this is like saying 5 subtract 12. And then this is 5 subtract negative 12. Of course, these two signs next to each other will be positive. Okay? And your result would be 17. 8 multiplied negative 7 should be negative 56. Why? A positive number multiplied by a negative number should give you a negative answer. Next, you have negative 8 multiplied negative 7. Of course, a negative number multiplied by a negative number should give you a positive number. That's 56. Now, if you were doing this in a calculator, you must remember to use your brackets. Otherwise, your result won't be right. So negative 7 squared means negative 7 times negative 7. All right, let's do some new learning. If we have this calculation, do you remember in one of our previous lessons, we did something called BIDMAS, okay? My pen is moving. Let it be stable. Okay, BIDMAS, yeah? We did something called BIDMAS. I'm gonna rub that off. That doesn't look good. Just a minute. All right. Okay, so BIDMAS. Okay, pen is just not working. Wow. Okay, let's leave that for now. Okay, so we did something called BIDMAS. So B stands for brackets. So it means if we have operations, we have to do brackets first. If we have operations where we have different options, we have to do index or power first. And then if we have operations where things are mixed up, we'll have to do division, then multiplication, then addition, then subtraction. But something you need to know is when we have things mixed up, let's say division and multiplication together, they have similar order of priority. And then same with addition and subtraction. They have similar order of priority. Okay. Let's take that off. I think it's preventing us from. Okay. So for this one, which part of the calculation should we complete first? It's obvious that we need to do multiplication. Now, the order of operation can also be presented in this form. So some people prefer to use this pyramid form. But here, we know that we're going to do multiplication first. So have 4 add 10. What about this one? Which order of operation should we do first? Well, remember that I said that when addition and subtraction are together, same with multiplication and division, we can simply do the operation from left to right. They have the same order of priority when they are together. So in this case, we can simply say 6 minus 5 is 1, 1 add 2 is 3. What about this one? Which one should we do first? Of course, we have to do multiplication first. So we do 5. If you look at the order of operation, BIDMAS, we do multiplication first. So we do 5 times negative 2, which is negative 10. And now we have 4 add negative 10. The two signs will become negative. So 4 subtract 10 will be negative 6. What about this one? Which should we do first? Of course, we're going to do division. So we do 56 divided by 2, which is 28. And then we'll have 6 subtract 28, which will give us negative 22. Pause the video and practice what you've learned. So pause the video and answer questions 1 and 2 in 4 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered questions 1 and 2, here are the answers. So mark your work and celebrate your success. By now, you should know how to work with order of operations. So pause the video and answer the questions in. Okay, so far you would have marked your work and you would have got your answers right. Okay. Pause the video and answer questions 3 and 4 in 4 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered questions 3 and 4, here are the answers. So mark your work and celebrate your success. So very quick comment on this one. You can see that here you were asked to circle the calculation that does not find the unknown number in the bar model. Okay, so this calculation will not find the unknown number, because to find the unknown number, we have to do 5, okay, multiplied by 2, and then we add 8, and then we subtract it from 20. This will not do that, okay? Next, you were asked, write 4 different number sentences that find the unknown in this bar model. All right, so there are different number sentences. We can do 35, subtract 2 times 9, and then add 4. We can also do it this way. So these are different calculations that you could use to find the unknown number in the bar model. All right, here is the answer for question 4. You were asked, Danny is answering this question, and then here is the question. Here is our working out. Explain the mistake that Danny has made. So Danny has ignored the subtraction that is already there. So it should be 11 minus negative 6. Okay. So the division should be done first. So 12 divided by negative 3 will be negative 4. Okay, for that one. And then for the next one, you can see that she's made the mistake. Yeah? All right. Can you spot the mistake in this calculation? So we're doing some new learning now before we do some additional practice. Can you spot the mistake? Well, notice the mistake here is that the person has incorrectly subtracted 35 from 11. So the person did -7 times -5 instead of doing 7 times -5 to get -35. So that should be the correct calculation. Okay. What about this one? If we have a calculation like this, which should we do first? Again, remember your order of operations, BIDMAS. Okay. Okay. So we have to do indices first before we do any other operation. So using this approach, we'll have to do multiplication indices first. So 2 to the power 2, and then that gives us 4, and then we'll do multiplication next. Okay, so you can see the order of operation, and some people prefer BIDMAS. You can see it right there on the screen. So you do 80 subtract 8, which is 72. What about this one? Which one should we do first? Well, we'll do the indices first. We'll do the index or the power. Okay, and for BIDMAS, you can see that if you write BIDMAS, it's the I which comes after the B, so that has priority. And of course, you can see the bracket also has priority. So we'll get this result: 80 subtract 2 times 4. Of course, we'll do the multiplication next, and then we'll have 80 subtract 8. You may have noticed something. We have the same result. Why? Well, something you should know is that 2 squared is the same thing as -2 squared. 2 squared means 2 times 2, which is 4. -2 squared means -2 times -2. Of course, 2 negatives should give us a positive, which is also 4. And that shouldn't be a surprise why we should have the same result. It's now time to practice what you've learned. So pause the video and answer questions 5 and 6 in 8 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered questions 5 and 6, here are the answers. So you can see the order of operations taking place all over. Okay. So here you can see that the division, so I'll comment on this. You can see that here is 35 add 8 first before it was divided by 2. 35 add 8 is 43. Okay, and then when you divide by -2, you have -21. So mark your work and celebrate your success. So I'll just make a comment on some of them really quickly. So here you'll have to do the bracket first before you do the index. So 2 subtract -7 is -5. -5 squared will give you 25, but don't forget there is a negative, then multiplying it, so which will give you -25. Here, you have to do the index first. So 7 squared is 49. Now, -2 subtract 49 will give us -51. Here, -8 squared is 64. Then you have to then do the multiplication. So I would really like to make a comment on this one. So this will be 64. So when we write it out to be 64, we then need to do the multiplication. So subtract 15 and then subtract 17. So 64 negative 64 subtract 15 subtract 17. This will be 32. So it's like saying 64 subtract 32. And then here you have to do the, this is different from this. So this is an interesting one. So you're going to have negative 64. Then you do the multiplication, subtract 15, subtract 17. So it's like saying 32, negative 64 subtract 32, which would be negative 96. And then here, again, doing the order of operation, these two signs, let's resolve that one. These two signs will be negative, okay? And then we have to do it doesn't matter, we have division and multiplication. So we can start with the division here first and then do the multiplication. So we can do, this will be negative, this will be positive 3 because negative 6 divided by negative 2 will be 3. Then we have 1 times 9 will be 9. So we have 3 minus 9, which is negative 6. This one, let's resolve these two signs first. These two will become negative. So we have negative 2. We do the bracket first. Negative 2 subtract 1 will be negative 3. So when we rewrite this, we'll have negative 6 divided by negative 3. Okay. And then times 9. Of course, we have multiplication and division together, so their order of priority is the same, so we can just start doing it from left to right. So negative 6 divided by negative 3 will be 3. And then we have, I think there is a mistake somewhere. Just a minute, let's see. So that would be negative 3. So we'll do the bracket first. So that should be negative 3. Oh, sorry. Negative 6 divided by negative 3 will be 2. So I made a mistake on that one. So I was right. So that will be 2. And then 2 times 9, that will be 18. Okay. Then quick comment on this one. So this one, you have to do the multiplication first. And then before you just do the operations from left to right. This one, you have to do the bracket first, and then you can just do the operation from left to right. Okay, for question 6, you can see the answers there. So you were asked to fill in the missing numbers. Of course, you can do inverse operations to find the missing numbers. So just a quick comment on this one. How do we know that is 7? We could have done an inverse operation of doing 20 subtract 6. That will give us 14, and then we divide by 2. Here, this is 26. So we could have done the inverse operation of 42 subtract 26. 42 subtract 26. Because doing that first, so 42 subtract 26. So 26. So 12 minus 6, that's 6. So that will be 16. So once we have 16, we can then do the inverse of squaring, which is square root. So square root of 16 will be 4. So either positive or negative 4 will be the answer. And then here, we could do same inverse operation, negative 2 times 5. First, we resolve that to be 10. Then we do the inverse operation of bringing this over. So that will be negative 22. And then negative 22, Just a minute. So yeah, so we can do the inverse operation first of multiplying. So we can do negative 12 times 4, which will be 48. And then 48 subtract 10, that will be 28. And then that should give us the results. Okay. All right. Okay, let's move on. I don't want the video to be too long. Okay, pause the video and answer questions 7, 8, and 9 in 6 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered questions 7, 8, and 9, here are the answers. Let's discuss them. So these ones, you will simply ask, tick the correct number sentence for the function machine. So the function machine shows 4 divided by 4, subtract 7, and then multiply by 5, and then you subtract 30. Okay, that's the correct function machine. And then next, evaluate these expressions when you're given these numbers. A is equal to negative 4, B is equal to 6, and C is equal to 3, and D is equal to negative 8. Of course, you remember from our previous lessons, evaluate means when you finish, you get an actual value for the expression. So you do your substitution, and then you get your answers. Next, you were asked to insert brackets into the calculations to make the answers correct. So it's about giving it a try to check which ones will give you the correct insertion, the correct place to put the bracket. Pause the video and answer question 10 in 2 minutes. Assuming you've paused the video and you've answered question 10, here are the answers. So here you simply ask to use these numbers, operations, and brackets to make each of the calculations. Okay, so and you can see the answers there. All right, so you are simply asked to make each of the numbers. Okay, to make each of the numbers. So to make these numbers, you can see 5 times 3 is 15. 15 minus 2 is 13. And that brings us to the end of our lesson. So what we've learned so far is we have had a lesson where we did order of operations before, but this lesson consolidates what you had learned before, which is to make effective use of order of operations when we work with directed numbers and with even challenging cases. So well done for sticking around and for taking your study seriously. Until next time, take really good care of yourself, and bye-bye.